Hi friends, Tracy here from the Sewing Channel. Welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. I've got another tutorial to add to my magic series. It's the Magic Triangle Towel Apron. Increase the measurements to make it bigger, decrease the measurements to make it smaller. It's that easy. Now my triangle towel apron, it's practical. Don't you wish sometimes you had a towel hanging right in front of you when you're in the kitchen? It's the holidays or whatnot, it's Thanksgiving, and you need a towel. This apron has clean lines, and it's just what this holiday season needs. Practicality and cuteness. Enough talking already. Let's get busy making the Magic Triangle Towel Apron. I started with a 27-inch by 27-inch squared piece of fabric. You can get 2 aprons out of this one piece of fabric. The first thing I'm going to do is just fold this right in half. And then I'm going to put a crease right in this fabric. Right where I folded it. Now, if you're working with a directional fabric like I am, you're going to get one apron that either is lopsided or upside down. So I'll leave that up to you, or you can use an all over pattern where it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 aprons out of this regardless if these are upside down, because I think it's going to be cute anyways. Put the wrong side up to cut that diagonal line. Whenever you're cutting anything at an angle like this is called the bias. So you want to be careful when you're dealing with the bias fabric because it has a tendency to stretch. So I say that just so that you'll be careful with it so you don't stretch it and manhandle your fabric after you have cut it. Lay the 1/2 aside until you're ready to make your other apron. You can use coordinating fabric for this next piece that we're going to cut, or you can cut it the same identical fabric as the main piece here. This is going to be 6 inches wide by width of fabric. And all that means is you're going to put selvage to selvage, like so, and then cut your fabric along these lines, making it 6 inches wide by length of fabric, which ends up being approximately 42 inches or so, because that's the typical width of a fabric from selvage to selvage. Take this 6-inch width fabric by width of fabric, fold it in half, and then put a nice crease in this fabric. And then set that aside. The next piece of fabric you'll need to cut is a contrasting fabric. Again, you're going to go 6 inches in width and selvage to selvage, which is width of fabric, just like we did this piece right here. The only difference with this piece is we are going to cut this piece right in half, so we have equal amounts on both sides. Take this contrasting piece of fabric and fold wrong sides together and put a memory crease in this fabric. On one end of each of these 2 pieces right here, you are going to fold just a little 1/4 inch seam in, fold it to the wrong side, and right there on that middle part, you are going to take this piece and fold it right up to that crease and give that a press, and then take this piece, almost like one of those airplanes. You know, you ever make a paper airplane before when you were little? That's sort of what this is like. Put a nice crease right there so that everything stays nice and in. And then you're going to fold it in half and make sure that that is nice and creased. Again, you're going to do the same thing with this one. With wrong side facing up, we're going to iron down some seams. It'll be sort of the sides going down into the point of your apron. This top piece you don't want to iron at all, just the sides. So you're just going to fold in 1/4 inch to begin with and press those down. And then fold again at 1/4 inch. Now I eyeballed this, so I'm assuming, you know, you'll be fine with it. And you'll do that all the way down till you get to the point. When you get one side ironed down, all you're going to do to miter that bottom is just to fold that over once and then fold it over twice. And give that a press. You're going to take this to the sewing machine and then tack this down from this end, go all the way around to this end. When I feed it through my sewing machine, always put the right side up so I can see that nice top stitching, so you can keep that straight, and you can kind of feel underneath where that seam is so that you make sure that you catch that in there. So go ahead and sew that up and I'll meet you right back here. So here's what you should have so far. Everything is nice and tacked down. The next step is to take this piece right here, that longer piece, the one that was in the same fabric as this on mine, open it up, and then take one of these pieces right here. You are going to open up, and the side that you didn't put all those airplane creases in, you're going to lay right sides together. So those are right sides together, and you're going to sew about 1/4 inch seam there. I might sew a little bit more just to make sure that that's out of the way there. And then when that's sewn on, you're going to come back to the other end here and grab your other piece, open it up. You're going to use not the airplane side, but the straight side, and lay that right sides together again. And sew a 1/4 inch seam connecting those two together. And when that's done, I'll meet you right back here. So here you can see I connected these two pieces. You can open up the seams if you'd like and give it a press, or press to one side. It's up to you. I typically press open on everything nowadays, so that's what I'm going to do. And after you press that, you're going to make sure that that memory crease is still in there from before. And we're just going to kind of merge those two together, just like as if they were one. Let's talk about the towels for a second. This particular towel right here I had left over from a baby bib that I had done. Now you can use a bigger square of towel or whatever you have. It doesn't matter, it's up to you. On this particular apron right here, I cut a big square in half. So you can see here it went farther on the sides. So it just all depends on what towel you have and what you're working with, really. Since this one had raw edges, I went around and put a zigzag stitch in it, and it gave me these really cute curly cues. So it kind of stretched the fabric, and well, it did that while I was sewing. So if you would like yours to be curly Q like that, I think all you have to do is kind of pull on your fabric as it's going through your sewing machine as you're putting the zigzag in, and it will give you that really cute effect. And I went around it twice. You don't have to go around it twice. I just do because I did. I don't know. For this towel apron, I want it centered in the middle. And I don't want this bulk right here within that seam because it's already folded over from the manufacturer. So I'm going to cut that bulk off of there. This piece right here, you're going to fold it in half to find the center. And all you have to do to find that is just match these up best you can. As long as it's close, you're fine. And then you're just going to finger press a nice crease there. That will remind us that that is the middle. So open this up and just lay these all to the side. I know you can't see them, but they're there and they're off to the side. Now there's our crease that we made. Now this piece right here, I centered the towel on there and I pinned it. So, and I just eyeballed this, I centered it. This right here will be the middle. I'm eyeballing it and I can see that that's the middle. I may be off a little bit, but that's okay too. So I just pinned these two together, making them one piece. Now, since this is directional fabric, I have to make sure that I put these together on right, because I don't want, this is my waistband, I don't want this to be upside down. And the way you can tell that is if you lay these just like it would be sewn together, or like it would look like if it was connected. If these two seams were together on this right here, if you tuck that in, you can see that that is going in the right direction. So knowing that, and these two pieces are pinned, this piece is open with right side up. This nice big long piece, the one with the two pieces connected. Now I'm going to just take this piece, my triangle piece, lift it up and over. And lay that with these edges together. Now I want to make sure that everything is nice and flat. So I'm going to find the center, which was that crease right there that we finger creased, and that is that right there. So I know that that's roughly in the center. So I'm going to unpin that, and then I'm going to pin all 3 layers together. Come over here and unpin that. Remember, don't stretch this because it's on the bias. You just want to nicely lay it out. Pinch those and then pin. Unpin. Make sure all 3 layers are together. And pin. You're going to come over here and pin these 2 layers together. And then come over to this side like that. You're going to start from here and roll this up. In order to pull this out easier, I'm going to try something new right on camera here. And if it doesn't work, maybe I won't put it in the video. I don't know. But what you're going to do is just clip, you know, some ribbon, some really long ribbon. Go ahead and clip it good because we don't want it to rip. So we want to make sure that it's got a good hold, just like that. Now in theory, this should work. So I'm going to let this off to one side. See, just like that. We don't want to sew this in the seam or anything. It's just, it's gonna be a help, hopefully, for us. So now we're going to finish rolling this. And you see, I'm gonna roll up that brown ribbon right in there. You're going to squish this down best you can because this is going to be your thickest part right here. So squish it in there and then take this back piece and lift this up to meet this pin. You're going to squeeze these layers all together so that you're catching all of them. Unpin and then repin. Make sure all that's in the back there. Push it back with your finger. All these layers together. Unpin and repin. It'll get easier as you go to the sides too, because then there'll be no towel in those areas. Make sure you pinch that all together. Make sure the layers are all there, and then repin that. This side only has this little bit right here, so you just shove that back. And you should only have 3 layers right there. See? So unpin and repin. And you can come over here and catch these layers. The more pins, the better on this step, I feel. Now you're going to go to 2 layers. When you get to here, about roughly, let's see, 6 to 7 inches or so, you're going to pin that. I'm going to pop the pin in a different way, just like that, so that that reminds me that that's where I'm going to start or stop on either of my ends. We're going to leave this open after we sew this middle seam together. So I'll show you that when we get to the sewing machine. So about right there, I'll pop that pin in a different way. So this is what you should have right here. Everything is all pinned up. Sorry, I don't have a wide enough angle to show you everything, but it's pretty wide. And you have these 2 open ends right here that you're not going to sew, just yet anyways. So let's take this over to our sewing machine and start right here and do a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down, encasing this entire seam up to here, up to about that 6 or 7 inches. Make sure you back stitch. So everything is sewn up. Now before we take a look at this magic, we're gonna just trim these off right there. We don't need that bulk in there. It's not needed. So here we have one big tube. And actually we can start this. We can, since all this has to come right side out. Halfway there. Once all the magic has happened, we're going to give everything a really nice press. So there's the back. Everything's nice and tacked down. There's no seam showing. For this part, that all open seam right there, all you want to make sure you do is just, let's fold this in just a tiny bit, just about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to do that on both sides. And then let's go to those memory creases. That one's folded down, remember, and then this one went like this. And then this one went like this. Do your airplane. Next, you're going to take it to the sewing machine, and from the front side, so this is the front side of the ribbon. So you see there's the front of our apron. We are going to start here and sew a top stitch all the way down over this, along here, tacking down that towel and all that within that seam allowance. We're going to keep going, top stitch right along there. And then we're going to keep going, top stitch, and all the while when we get here, we're closing that finally up. I'm going to go the extra mile. When I get here, I'm going to continue along here and top stitch, 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 all along the top, even along this side right here, until I get back to where I started. So go ahead and do that, and then I'll meet you right back here. Everything is nicely top stitched, and you can see that's all closed up right there where we had pulled everything through. I could see this design being a great one for a man or just anyone in general. I just think for a man because of the way the lines are so clean and straight, but this makes a darling lady's apron too. I'm so pleased with how this turned out. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Until next time on the Sewing Channel, take care.